Picture this, a room filled with colleagues, busy in the daily grind of work, just, churning out Excel sheets, typing out things. I was just on my computer typing it out, and suddenly I just let out a quip. As someone who studied aerospace engineering, I often find myself buried in Excel sheets. Am I a fraud or just a spreadsheet nerd? Laughter all around, but inside, a quiet voice echoed. Am I the punchline to my own joke? Am I? Imposter syndrome, a term that echoes through the corridors of self-doubt, whispering into the ears of achievement. It's that gnawing feeling that despite our accomplishments, we're mere imposters masquerading with borrowed achievements. But don't worry, you're not alone. I am with you. We are all on this journey of self-discovery together. Studies suggest that about 70% of individuals undergo imposter syndrome some point in their life. That means you, sitting right in front of me, you, anyone from the speakers, or anyone in this room have battled feelings of inadequacy at some point in their life. I mean, right before getting up on stage, as a TEDx speaker now, I couldn't believe I was just walking up on stage, bathed in these amazing lights, sea of expectant faces, just about taking each step. There was a silent voice inside of me that kept saying, "You don't belong." That, my friends, that is the insidious beast, imposter syndrome. I stand before you today not as someone who has conquered it, no, not at all, but as someone who has learned to coexist with it, to dance with it on this stage of life. Imposter syndrome is something that triggers self-doubt within us. But I've realized a profound truth. Imposter syndrome is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of inadequacy that's within you. It has also a byproduct of what the world expects of you. The world expects perfection, and that's what imposter syndrome brings up. Now, a little bit about myself. I'm an international student. Like a lot of us came to this country after a long time from wherever we came from. We all battled feelings of inadequacy. We were all on a tough journey. But with the support of my friends, my family, I developed a feeling of self-belonging and self-acceptance. Now let's fast forward a few years, right? Aerospace engineer, but not in the realm you might imagine. I am daily just working in my Excel sheets, breaking down financial jargon. But beneath all of that financial jargon, I'm battling a familiar foe, the imposter syndrome. Busy cafeteria, everyone talking about, oh, crypto, oh, market trends, oh, stocks, S&P 500, NASDAQ. Meanwhile, I'm just sitting in the corner being like, yep, sure, yeah, I saw the curve, it went pretty high, yeah, sure. But inside, afraid to be unmasked as someone who didn't belong. Even though I do understand the curves, even though I understand all of the prices, just afraid to be unmasked. One particular incident stands out. During a meeting, I was questioned about an Excel macro. Excel, cream and crop of finance. You cannot work in finance without knowing Excel. I froze. I couldn't answer, paralyzed by my own self-doubt. But today, when I look back to it, I realize it was not a sign of my own weakness, but it was an opportunity for growth. Now, I know I'm talking about imposter syndrome, but did you know there are different types of imposter syndromes? Now, let's go through the different types of imposter syndrome, because there's not 1, 2, but 5 different types of imposter syndrome. Number 1, the perfectionist, shackled by the chains of flawless execution. They fear that if they are not perfect, they will be huge failures. What did we do to overcome this feeling? We started acting even before we were perfectly ready. We started taking our mistakes in strides and slowly building up that confidence. Next, the superhero, draped in a cape of relentless productivity, striving to outshine the stars themselves. But beneath all of that cape, the mask, the supersuit, they're just an individual trying to fit in a world that demands superhuman feats. What did we do? We started nurturing our self confidence. We started nurturing and listening to our internal validations. Next, we have the natural genius, forever a prisoner of intellect, chasing the elusive mirage of omniscience. They fear that their ability to not answer a question will crumble the mirage and prove that they're failures. What did we do? We started taking ourselves looking at ourselves as works in progress. We started taking our mistakes in strides and understanding that it's all part of the process. Next, we have the soloist marching to their own drumbeat. The one thing about the soloist was they do not like taking help. No thanks, no thanks. Taking help for them was a sign of weakness, a crack in their armor of invincibility. What did we do? We started collaborating. We started working with other teams. Instead of saying no thanks, we started using phrases like, I don't know, but let's learn together. Next is the expert, completely flawless, doesn't listen to anyone but understands and believes in their own true nature, wielding knowledge like a double-edged sword, fearing the sting of ignorance. They're kind of similar to the natural genius friends, but whenever faced with an unfamiliar territory, they freeze, they stop. What did we do? We started taking our mistakes and strides, but at the same time, introduced a new philosophy called you learn something new every day. Now, we've looked at all the different types of imposter syndromes. I'm going to name some celebrities for you, and you folks can decide which of these celebrities might have the different types. So, some of the celebrities are Albert Einstein had imposter syndrome, Beyonce had imposter syndrome, Bella Hadid had imposter syndrome. So, us, as well as the celebrities, have gone through imposter syndrome, so you are not alone. Next, I'm going to talk about the different steps that can help you overcome imposter syndrome. Once again, you cannot conquer imposter syndrome. You learn to coexist with it, to dance with it on the stage. Number one, acknowledge your feelings. Acknowledging your feelings is the first step of actually conquering or coexisting actually with imposter syndrome. The first step I took was to actually accept to my parents who were sitting right here, to let them know that I am indeed experiencing it. Next is to identify triggers. Identify these locations, people, or even situations that might trigger imposter syndrome. Sometimes you win an award and makes you think, did I actually deserve it? Or was it a fluke? Was it a product of luck or actually my merit? Next is to challenge negativity. Challenge those negative thoughts. Negative thoughts is the hallmark of imposter syndrome. By shutting down those negative thoughts, you actually are taking a huge step to coexisting with imposter syndrome. Just think about it this way. If your friend was going through the same situations, would you treat them the same way? Nope. You would celebrate them. Treat your friend the same way like how you would treat your inner thoughts. Next is to focus on your strengths. Now, let's do a little bit of exercise, okay? I know everyone's asked you to close your eyes, but I'm going to do it again. So, for 10 seconds, I want you all to close your eyes and think about your strengths. Okay, let's do it. Awesome. Okay, now, the same way, let's take 10 seconds and think about our weaknesses. Think real hard for this one. Think about your weaknesses. Awesome. So, whenever you think about your strengths and weaknesses, isn't it so much easier to think about your weaknesses? But when you think about your strengths, you might be, am I really good at that great at swimming? Is my handwriting actually that great? It's very easy to look at our perceived shortcomings. What I did was I started writing down my strengths. I actually categorized my strengths into what I believe are the best strengths and things I want to work on. And I categorized my weaknesses. One of the things I also started doing was writing down my achievements. Today, looking back at what I did 2 years ago really makes me proud. And 2 years from now, looking back at what I did today is going to make me feel really proud. Next is to set realistic goals. Set realistic, manageable goals. Goals that you can break down into smaller tasks and easily check mark because these small wins boost your confidence. The best thing to do is to take out those easy tasks so that will propel you to erase that self-doubt. Next is to seek support. The most important thing is to seek support, not just from your family, but from your friends, your peers, as well as colleagues. You know why? They might build out and give you a better perspective on what you're going through and might help you remove what we talked about before, the negative thoughts. Next is to develop a growth mindset. Challenge yourself to take those new challenges. Step outside your comfort zone. Me doing this right now is actually stepping outside my comfort zone. For some of you, coming out here might be stepping out of your comfort zone. Step outside your comfort zone. Build growth for yourself. Next is to celebrate your achievements, no matter how small they may be. You wake up at 6 a.m. today? Good job, buddy. You went to the gym today? Good job, buddy. You went to work today and worked in person? Great job. Right? So celebrate those little small achievements. Those go a long way. Now, as we end this talk, I just want to let you all know to celebrate your uniqueness. Celebrate your inner child. Don't let self-doubt ruin what you have come forward with. Right? And as I just want to all remind you all to shine bright. Don't let these uniqueness devalue you. Celebrate them. And the most important thing is to remember you are perfect just the way you are. And I leave you with the last thought. The only way to do great work is to love what you do. Thank you. Yeah.